Hi there, this is Chris from MoneyHub, and this video looks at changing money to go on holiday to Fiji. So as we've outlined in our guide, there's three options. There's cash, where you just spend everything in actual physical cash. There's debit and credit cards, and then there's also travel money cards. You can use a combination of all three, and what this video is going to show you is the different rates that you'll get depending on what you do. So let's go straight into it, and let's look at using cash. So what we've said is that the options are kind of limited. You will find that very few banks now offer Fiji dollars, but you can get it from Westpac. At the same time, you can also get it from the currency kiosks that you'll see at the likes of Auckland Airport, for example, Number One, and also Travelex. So let's just go straight into look at the rates now. So I think this is the best way to properly show it. And let's have a look at Number One currency. So if we wanted to change, let's say $100 to Fijian dollars, then we would see that if we just put it through this little tool here, that the current rate, and this is all being done at the same time, is 1.265 Fijian dollars for every $100 spent. For some reason, they round it up, which is fair enough because they'd want to be able to give out exact numbers rather than, like 130 rather than coins. So you can see here that the rate is 1.265. You can also choose how you get that. You can do home delivery, and then if you do that, the rate's slightly higher. And then if you do click and collect, where you'll get it at the airport or some location that you agree on, then that is the rate. So if we look at that, it's about 1.265. If we look then at Travelex, let's see what they're offering. So we want to change, let's say $100 to Fiji dollars. There you can see that the rate is going to be 125.5. So that's actually lower. That 125.54 is actually lower than, it's about a cent lower than the good people at Number One currency. So that is worth being aware of. You can see there you'd click through and then you'd buy the cash and then you'd collect it somewhere. If you do a travel money card, of course, you're going to get a different rate. And that's what this top-up card thing is here. But certainly for buy currency, that's your offer. And then if we look at Westpac, which is the only bank left standing which is going to offer forex, you can see there that to change NZ dollars into foreign cash, you look for the Fijian dollar rate. They don't cover every currency, and they might actually not have a Fijian dollar when you go and ask for it. And also you need to be a customer. But you can see here the rate is 130.45. So that's actually much higher if you look at comparing that to what Number One currency was, which was 126.5. If you look again at the Travelex, it was slightly lower. And just while we wait for that to reload, I can show you. So once again, if you put it in there, you can see it was 125, but Westpac jumps it up to 130, which makes your New Zealand dollars go a lot further. Finally, having looked at those three options, we can now look at Wise. Wise is very transparent. So this is on their card. This is fees for using the Wise card. This is whether or not you withdraw from an ATM. Of course, there will be fees after a certain amount, but also tapping the card along the way. Here, you can see that the rate is 1.355, which is a whole, 10 cents higher than what Travelex offers, and more or less 10 cents higher of what, or sort of 9 cents higher what a Number One offers. And then also, if you look at Westpac, it's about 5 cents higher. The difference here is that, and you can see the rate's constantly changing because we're live now with the markets. You can see here that there's also a fee, which is going to be 0.89%. So that's really worth being aware of, that, they actually take that fee out. And so the rate that you receive is a little bit lower than that, but it is transparent. So if we look at doing 100, then you can see that the rate really is about 1.34. And that's everything that's subtracted from that. So that's really a lot higher than you can see compared to any other option, which is worth knowing. And that's why we're very cautious about people like burning off a lot of New Zealand dollars. Oh, I need to go and get all my money changed, and then you take out $500 from the bank and you give it to someone like Travelex, or you give it to someone like number one currency. Sure, it's convenient, but you're losing about 5 to 10% of your money by doing that. Sure, Fiji is a cash economy, certainly with regards to everyday kind of market shopping or sort of out and about from the hotels and resorts. That's fine, but there's certainly cheaper ways to do that. So our view here is the Wise card is offering the top exchange rate, and also it's very transparent in the fact that the fees are taken off and you can see what they are for every transaction that you make. We also want to compare this now to Visa and MasterCard. Now, this is where things get interesting because they'll give their exchange rates, but then what the bank offers and what the bank charges by the time they take their fees is completely different. So if we have a look at the MasterCard, they're offering a generous 1.36, which is pretty much that, but that's with no fees whatsoever. So this is why it's all a bit strange, because we can't really see what the bank would actually charge you for using a debit or a credit card. And if we look at Visa, just as a background there, then we can see it's 1.347. So that's still below what you get from Wise pre-fees, but we just are not sure, because if you look at things like Kiwi Bank, there it's like 2.5% of the dollar amount converted. Sure, but what rate are they actually using? Of course, they use Visa, so that's going to affect things. But we can't give any clarity on what the banks will actually be. But we know from a whole bunch of people using these travel money cards from Wise, also the Wise debit card, and we also know from people like from MoneyHub as well, using them, certainly they get a much better rate and it's a lot more convenient. But the purpose of this video is really just to show you that these money changing services can be convenient and it looks enticing, but we know that the rates are not that good. And also, these are the rates that we're seeing online when you pre-book. If you go to the airport, be very cautious, because you might find that the rates are much lower. They're relying on people to last minute, I'm leaving now, I need some money. So they have no incentive often to give you these high rates by pre-booking. They could give you a lot lower. It's a crazy situation in Europe. Sometimes you can see at the Travelex or something similar to it, kiosks where you'll change £1 and it'll end up being €1 at a crazy low exchange rate. That's just because people are desperate and they just think that they can't get euros when they leave England. So there's all these kind of tricks and all these sort of ways that these kiosks make money. Sure, they're convenient, but please be aware that it's definitely expensive, and it just means you'll have less holiday money for no apparent reason other than convenience. But these cards are these services are not that convenient, and the rates reflect how poor they deliver the value. We would suggest for people going to Fiji, consider the Wise debit card, for example, because then you can make a withdrawal. You can get up to $350 per month ATM free. So there'll be no fee on that. And then you've got the money in your hand should you need it. And at the same time, if you're leaving Fiji, then of course use that money on the last couple of days to sort of pay down bills, whatever's left over. You can, of course, change it back into New Zealand dollars. Some people will offer that at the airport. Some people will offer that, some kiosks will offer that when you get back to New Zealand. But we can also see here that if you wanted to do a click and sell, so that's when you've got, say, a foreign currency and you want to sell it back to New Zealand, into New Zealand dollars, then you'll see the rate is 1.52, which is much higher. So for every $1.52 Fijian you have, that converts to $1 New Zealand dollar, whereas you bought it, prior to that at about 1.26 if you bought it from number one currency. So you can see the huge margin that they have there as well, which is quite significant. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, please leave comments in the section below. We're highly responsive to them. We want our guides and resources to be as comprehensive as possible. We've linked to our Fiji Travel Money Explainer guide, which we hope is helpful. And as we say, we're constantly improving it. So we just want to know anything that we can help you with. Thanks very much.